Big ol' thanks to Super7 for sending this one out. Check Super7 out and links to get Rodan in the description.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey collector, Steven here, and welcome to another Super7 review in the ReAction lineup, where today we are going to be taking a look at Godzilla's bestest buddy in the ReAction and Shogun Warriors lineup, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Shogun Warriors Rodan. The R just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? I think so. So, a couple summers ago, we had the Shogun Warriors figure shrunk down for Godzilla and released as an SDCC exclusive in a bright green. It was released at retail in a darker green. Then we had, I believe it was an NYCC or a spooky Halloween variant, glow in the dark. Then we had the 12,000 degree meltdown variant. And now today we have Rodan in the Shogun Warriors format, joining the ReAction lineup. We don't have any gimmicks like the Shogun Godzilla had, but that doesn't mean that this figure can't be great in its own right. This is not going to be exclusive to Super7, however, it is in stock at the time of upload, and they are shipping it out real quick. So if you want to get it, that's going to be where you can get it right now. Without any further ado, let's take a look to see whether or not Rodan is going to be worth adding into your collection. Alright, so to kick things off for this review, here is going to be a look at Rodan mint in the package, still unopened, if that is going to be your thing. Normally, I do not factor in the packaging for a review, but this figure is so nice in the packaging, and that's one of the, I guess you may say, draws for the ReAction lineup. I have to say that if you're interested in the guitar community, we have a term for stuff you just keep on the wall and you don't take out, but I got to keep I got to keep YouTube PG. So nevertheless, Rodan would look great up on your wall, on the shelf, still in the package. So this one, it might just be a situation where it's so nice I have to get it twice. I think Rodan looks good in the box still, so let's take a look at it out. And I think that Rodan actually has more paint apps on this figure than the actual Shogun Warriors Rodan had, but nevertheless, I think that they needed to spruce it up just a little bit, at least from what I'm able to see from references online. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but if you're a true one-to-one purist, you would have got the Shogun Warriors figure to begin with. But nevertheless, Rodan looks just fine. Rodan did look goofy in the Shogun Warriors lineup back in the day from what Mattel made, and here he looks great as well. I will say that the original figure did seem to have a bunch of seams and even the holes in the back for the fingers, and then also the clear peg on the top, so this way we can open up and close the mouth, and then, the rubber band stuff for the feetsies and all that good stuff. So even the implication of the finger holes on the back to flap the wings, that's omitted here, which is fine. You want to keep the overall look, and those gimmicks aren't here. But if you're looking for that, it is not included, just so this way you are aware of that. Rodan's sculpt is great, and honestly, just at the smaller scale, realistically, it's fine compared to the original figure this is going to be based off of. Rodan looks very much so true to form, and there really aren't any quality control issues on this particular unit, which I am so glad to talk about because this is Super7's bread and butter. More on that towards the end. The articulation. So to go back to the idea that, the Shogun Warrior Godzilla had a gimmick where you press the lever on his head and he fired off his tongue, Rodan does not have any gimmicks, but he does open and close his mouth, which that is kind of a gimmick that was included in the original figure. So I guess that's perhaps the same in spirit here, which is cool. Neck swivels around. Maybe we can get it to swivel all the way around, but it does feel tight once we get closer to that 180 degree mark, and I don't want to snap anything, so I'm not pushing it beyond this. The wings. The previous ReAction Rodan figures that were released, they did have rather loose wings, and they were very easy to flap and flop around. This one, not an issue whatsoever if that is something that you are worried about, and I'm going to demonstrate that as a comparison here for you. Yay! Good job, Super7, listening to feedback. You take care of issues. Hips, they are on swivels, but they are at somewhat of a V-cut, so keep this in mind when you are spinning the legs around. These can collide in with the wings, and this is something that's kind of sort of not really odd. I don't know, maybe it's just a me looking at it and interpreting it weird thing. It doesn't feel like the ankles swivel around, but sometimes whenever I go back to look at the figure after messing around with the legs, it does feel like the feet are pointed in different directions. That is obviously going to be because the hips swivel around and they point at different sides when put back in one position or the other, so it's just something to keep in mind. Overall, I think the articulation is fine, but I mean, realistically speaking, as a little fun shot we'll have at the end, you're going to be getting this and the Shogun Warriors Godzilla, and you're going to be slamming them against each other kind of like you were when you were a kid, or have your other toys do that, because something that I find a good charm with these reaction figures is to kind of like have, mini toys, so your toys can have toys. Yeah, that's fun. Size comparison time. Shogun Warriors Rodan does have a great wingspan, but realistically speaking, this is going to be small. It's not very tall whatsoever, and it should blend in just fine with your other figures at about this scale. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. It's going to be about $25. Depending on the site that you order from, there may be taxes and or shipping and handling, so something you can maybe keep in mind there. I think that this is cool. I think that when Super7 does gimmicky stuff like this, where they take, like, let's say, throwbacks to older things, tribute figure releases, as I like to call them, or if they're looking to do glow-in-the-dark stuff or wacky repaints, I think that's where they truly do succeed. I don't think when it comes to any of those sorts of figures, I've ever had one that has a super-duper serious quality control issue. Not even when it comes to the joints, not when it comes to any paint application errors, none of that. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, and I'm glad to see that that is a trend that still continues with this figure. So with that being said, I got nothing else to say. If you like it, congrats. It turned out good.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.